Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has confirmed his government is working towards putting controls on the local price of gas after warnings from Australian manufacturers that their businesses are being crippled by soaring prices. Live to reporter Joel Philp. Joel, the Prime Minister has been spruiking his government's plan to revitalise local manufacturing.
That's right, Danica. The Prime Minister said today that he's been campaigning for years on a future made in Australia. But there is one thing fighting against the plans to transform the local manufacturing industry, and that is the soaring price of energy, quite notably gas. The government has signed a recent supply agreement with major gas producers, but it didn't put any cap on the prices those producers can charge here in Australia, which drew calls from unions that this deal the government has signed was worthless. The Prime Minister said today that his government now has its sights on making sure the price that is charged in Australia is fair to make sure local manufacturers are not facing undue stress.
And we want to see price delivered that is appropriate, that doesn't see businesses put under undue pressure, and that is something that the entire government has been working on. Whether it be myself as Prime Minister, the Treasurer, the Industry Minister or the Resources Minister, Madeleine King.
The Prime Minister using his words, the entire government there, trying to project a sense of unity because maybe for a specific reason, Industry Minister Ed Husic, who was also at that press conference, has been using some colourful language recently about these price controls, comparing gas producers to a plague of locusts and saying if they think that agreement on supply was all that they would face, they've got another thing coming. That drew some speculation that he was freelancing and not happy with a deal that one of his own fellow ministers signed. Here's Ed Husic standing alongside the Prime Minister today.
The Prime Minister knows I can be as stubborn as a mule, and from time to time he gives me perspective, but on this we are very focused on working as a team to deliver the best outcome that's right for the country, right for manufacturers, and ensures that gas producers can cover their costs of production and meet a reasonable rate of return.
Opposition leader Peter Dutton was drawn on this issue once again today, and he said the answer is to use fossil fuels in that transition towards renewable energy, and that more exploration is needed on the gas front in Australia.
The government needs to preside over a policy that is going to discover more gas fields, to bring that gas online, to deal with the shortages in the system. Madeleine King says that this is the solution, that it's decisive action, and then we get the AWU that comes out and says that it's a dud policy. And then we've got Chris Bowen, who, as you know, in the past has called any suggestion that we should discover more gas in our country BS.
Back to those price controls, the Industry Minister said today that they would likely be implemented through changes to the code of conduct in which these gas producers operate under. There was no mention of changes to the so-called gas trigger that the government has on opportunity.
Joel Philp, thank you for the update.